Good evening, what is up, and welcome back to Gone Diggin' live from the Relic Room. Super excited to have everybody in here hanging out with us tonight, and we'll give a couple shout outs while we're here. Potter County Diggers, first one in. Aussie Beach Hunters, welcome to the stream. New first time watcher, super excited to have you here. Craig Dunn, Ezra Kidder, Ralph McGee, Larry Stewart, my man, Bill Hayes, Brotherhood Metal Detecting, West Coast Gold Prospecting, Copperheads Metal Detecting. Who else did I see that was new? I saw Swamp Critter. What is up, my friend? I've watched your videos a lot. Love what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Under California, we just got a pile of great folks in here hanging out with us. I hope you guys had a good week out metal detecting, prospecting, shark tooth or fossil hunting, whatever it is that you do. I had one heck of a week hanging out with some friends all the way down in Gainesville, Florida. That's right, we went out to the Florida Hunt 6. Larry Stewart was kind enough to provide me accommodations and even a scuba diving session, which we had a blast at. But incredible time meeting some great channels, hanging out with a lot of good people, and just having a good time down in Florida. So my back is killing me. It was about an 8-hour drive yesterday. Got home not super late, but about 5:30 p.m. So it was a lot of time, but a lot of good time spent. But for all of that fun time, we're going to have a great show tonight. I have my friend Peter Sorrell, and I probably just butchered that, but let's see if we go ahead and bring Pete in. Pete, what is up, man?
How's it going, guys?
We are super excited to have you on the show. I guess maybe a few weeks ago I put my foot in my mouth and I said, anybody who is producing one of these organized events and you'd love to come and talk about it, please come and do that. And I'm true to my word. And here you are today, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. We all have the detecting world's a pretty tight-knit community. So, we hear things. Actually, the guys from Diggin, Potter County, Kevin Dowd there, he's the one that reached out to me. And so I'm glad he did, because I do love getting out here, telling people about what we're doing. And I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But before we get into all of that kind of stuff, let's talk about you first. Let's talk about how did you get into the hobby of metal detecting? How long have you been doing it? Like, what really got you hooked in this?
So when I was in college in 2006 or 2007, I was looking to become a detective. And one day on YouTube, I tried to type in the word detective, and somehow it came out detecting. I ended up watching a video of KG and Ringy on YouTube or something. Actually, the very first video I ever watched was Aqua Chigger. So that really got me interested in it. And then I spent the rest of the entire day watching videos about metal detecting. And I was like, man, I love history. I bet I could do that. So on a measly $7 an hour job I had back then, I went out and bought myself one of those banana yellow Garrett H250s and had at it.
That's cool, man. That YouTube wormhole will get you stuck.
It sure does.
That's cool. So did you have channels that you aspired, or you man, you had to watch them every week, or was it just that time you were like, man, let's go out and do this?
Yeah, I just kind of binged a lot. I basically, once I found out about the hobby, I just basically started researching the heck out of it. I mean, that's I do love history. So then I've always been interested in my local area and stuff. So I was in central New York, which is very historic, a lot of Rev War stuff. And our college owned a lot of property. So I said, I went down to the police station on campus and said, hey, do you guys mind if I dig around in the property? And we had thousands of acres. So that's how I got my start. And literally all I did was I just binge watch as many detecting videos as I could back in the day. So now I have a couple of shows are my go-to, but I really started with just about anything I could get my hands on.
Yeah, right on. So when you went out and you got those first few places to dig, what was there a first find that like absolutely solidified the fact that this is what you love to do?
So on my college campus, there's a thing called an arboretum, which is basically a bunch of trees, different species of trees out behind this one big building out at our campus. And back in the 30s, Governor Roosevelt was New York State's governor before he became president. And they had a picnic back there. And beneath one of the big trees, I dug a spoon that's about this big that said New York State on it, which I thought was pretty sick. That I found that from that picnic. I found pictures of President Roosevelt right by that tree, and I found that spoon right there. That's really what cemented it. I'm like, man, this is going to be awesome.
That is a super cool find, man. Like, and then to actually have the history and the pictures and all of that stuff that goes with it, that's just unbelievable.
You bring it all together. Yeah, you bring it all together, man. Like you said, I've just always loved history, and that's what really brought me into it. But when you can take that history and you can put it in a specific place or time, it just really brings it all together.
So moving, and you found that with the Ace 250?
Yes, yep.
Yeah. And how long did you hunt with that machine for?
Long enough. It was about a year. I found enough change on campus to buy myself an AT Pro, and then I used an AT Pro for about 3 years, 2 or 3 years, and then I ended up in England, and there were a ton of people using, at the time was a fairly new machine, the XP Deus, and that's what I went on to. After that, I literally got home, and that Christmas I bought myself XP Deus.
Huge shout out. Thank you, Kevin from Potter County Diggers, for the super chat. He said for your gas to get to DigStock, I'll even buy a tasty beverage for us. It sounds good, brother. So, and then was going to England like a part of the plan, or was it just like something that you did anyway?
So what happened was I got married in 2013. And I had just joined a club in Central New York. Shout out to Earth Metal Detecting Club in Central New York. They've been around since the early 90s. Great group of people. Anyways, there were a couple of folks there that said they go to England every year as a trip. And they had invited us in 2012, but we didn't have the funds or the time or something. We weren't able to go. So in 2013, we made our way to England with some of the club members there. We got to stay with English folks over there, and we got to do a rally, which had never been, my wife was basically thrown into this. She had never been a part of this before or even heard of this stuff. And there we were going to England, and she said, you can metal detect as long as we get to do some fun things on the side for me. And I said, all right. So basically that was my first foray into like a rally, any sort of big event that was metal detecting related.
That is super cool. Also, I got to give another shout out to my friend Colonial Fiend, who loves Colonial Relics, for the super chat. You're too kind, my friend. So, digging in England and being introduced to the XP Deus, and so did you make the transition from the AT Pro to the XP then?
Yeah, I did. And it was, at the time, it was quite a challenge because the XP has so many different settings and so many different things you can do with it. I mean, when I initially started, the best advice I could give to anybody that's trying to move from a machine like the AT Pro to the XP Deus is to just start off in one program and then work your way up. There's a lot of things it can do. It's very versatile, but you have to, I wouldn't say when you get out into the field, my problem was the first time I went out with it, I kept trying to switch programs, trying to find, and then once I realized, wait a minute, if I just learn one and then the ins and outs of that one program and then move on, I really it was a big learning curve, I thought, but it, really wasn't once I settled down and kind of took my time.
Right. And I think that's pretty universal to a lot of machines. And for actually a lot of hunters, you see a lot of guys move in between multiple different machines, but they never really grasp the one that they're using, until they move on. Oh, this isn't as good as the last one, or
Yeah. And I've used machines from I've used Minelabs. I had a 600, an Equinox 600. I've had an Equinox 800. I've used all those machines. I put well over 100 hours on both of them. But I mean, like I said, I've had guys that came out that were using a test row, and they were so in tune with that machine. They could hit things that I didn't walk over it, but they were so well versed with their machine that they were finding just as many things as I could find, because they knew the machine well. And that's what I would say is, if you know your machine well, doesn't matter what you have, you're going to do well. If you're going out there and you're like, I'm going to try this new machine today with somebody who's been using a machine for 5-6 years, chances are you're going to outdig them just because they're not used to the machine.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there is that learning curve, and it was, my buddy Cliff says the days can be overwhelming at first, but it's a beast when you get it down.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. So then that progressed into you actually joining XP Team USA, right?
Yeah, so probably 2 years ago now, I had actually looked into joining the team, but they gave me what they wanted to see from me to get on the team, and I wasn't quite ready to do that. And then last year, with our event coming up, I had started speaking to the XP team guys again, and felt that I was at a comfortable place with the machine, knowing the ins and outs of what it could do. I had been using it for quite a few years at that point, but my videoing skills and stuff like that weren't quite up to where they should have been, or where I thought they should have been if I wanted to start a YouTube. So once I got to that point, I sent them a couple of video clips and stuff, and I basically jumped onto the team, or was invited to the team by the members, and I've been a team member since probably May or June of last year. So
yeah, I mean, that's fantastic stuff. And you have some big stuff planned with the team as well, right?
Say that again?
You have a couple big outings planned, especially an England trip here coming up, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know if I dropped that in the bag, or should I have not said anything?
No, that's okay. So since I went to England the first time, I've loved it so much. I've always wanted to go back. I went back last fall. We went to Detectival, but last year at our last year's event, we had Gary Blackwell, who's basically the XP guru. If you don't know him, watch his videos. It's called the XP Skill School. Anything you need to know XP, that guy has a video about it. Anyways, I met him personally for the first time at our event last year. We got along well, very, very well, and he's a great guy. And so we're going back to England in probably just about a month now. And I'm going to be staying with Gary Blackwell, and we're going to be doing some detecting over there in England.
That should be fantastic. Absolutely excited for you for that. I mean, I've got to talk to Gary once. I didn't unfortunately get to meet him at the event last year, and I'm really I was a little disappointed I didn't. But yeah, that should be a fantastic trip. Ralph McGee asked, do you happen to know anything that XP has in the future coming out?
Ooh, well, that's a great question. I can't divulge anything as of right now, but I can tell you something is coming. I don't know exactly when, and I can't give any more information than something is coming. It is a machine, and it's not something that's just warmed over. It's definitely something exciting. So just stay tuned.
I hope it's a multi-frequency machine, waterproof to 50 feet. I'm just saying that.
I think, let me tell you something. I think XP is one of the great companies that actually listens to the people who detect. And when they came out with the Deus in the first place, if you think about all the features that machine had, they literally listened to what folks wanted. The guy who invented the thing I've met, he's a very interesting guy. But he literally is a detectorist. I mean, I feel like some of the companies that people, the different detectors, I'm not going to mention any names, a lot of the people who engineer these things aren't detectorists themselves. And I think the biggest biggest advantage for a company like XP is that the guy who founded it was a detectorist, and there were things that he wanted to see in a detector, and he just went out basically and made it, and with some engineers and stuff, and he's a very smart guy. But that's the difference, I think, between XP and Nocta is a very good listener too. Nocta Macro, they're very good about listening to what customers want. Think about like the Simplex. They brought it back off. They were bringing it out onto the market, then took it off because they wanted to make the features that people wanted. And they made a hell of a machine for a price point that, I mean, almost nobody can match for the type of features that you're getting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think that's one thing Nocta Macro has done in the game is that they've really changed the fact that they're doing things that people want. I still think they have a long way to go, but they're certainly on the right path.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think a lot of these metal detector companies do. I think, I would like to see true multi-frequency in a couple different companies because Minelab really has the market cornered on that. And if you're a saltwater beach detectorist, you go buy a Minelab because nobody else can really handle the salt unless you're buying a pulse machine.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I mean, we know, I mean, Garrett's made an announcement, White's has something coming out. I mean, it's great to hear. I'm glad these companies are taking into consideration what their customers want. Steve Moore was on the Digging with Maddie show a couple of weeks ago talking about, they always go out and, try out new machines and try and see the different features and stuff that people are liking. And I'm glad. I hope there's more of that. I mean, that's really what we need. As detectorists, I mean, there's only a couple of things we want, and if you really want to sell machines or a decent machine, you want to put those features that people are actually craving into your next machines. And it seems like, I mean, this year I know of, again, we've got Whites, we've got XP, we've got Nocta probably coming out with something new. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are coming out with some great stuff. So hopefully I'm with you on that one. I hope at least a couple of them are multi-frequency because that's really what's going to change the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of fast forward. So from all the history of how you started, how did the inception of, my guess is that Detectable had some sort of influence in the inception of this large organized metal detecting event?
Yeah, so I'd known about Detectable for a couple of years, but and I had always thought about going, but I had never actually been there. Last year we went with I was part of the Rhode Island Relics team, which are a good group of guys. And we went with them, and we experienced firsthand what a big metal detecting event could be like. At that point, we were already way late in our planning stages, but we kind of used what they did as a blueprint for kind of what we did. So I mean, we do different things here in the United States than in the UK. The UK, there's no such thing as a seated hunt. Nobody does seated hunts over there. It's not a thing for them because they have thousands of years of history. Why would you need to put anything in the ground? Here in the United States, not everybody gets a chance to dig on historic stuff, or they choose, not to do what, you and I do, knock on doors and get the permissions. Some folks don't, are not comfortable doing that. So the seated hunt kind of gives people the opportunity to dig stuff they might not ever be able to have the opportunity to dig. At a big event like Detectable, you got thousands of years of history. You just go out there and dig what you dig. So yeah, it was definitely an inspiration for what we're doing. I would say the upcoming event that we're doing, that me and the group of people that I'm putting it on with this year, is definitely more closely related to the size and experience that we want people to have.
So let's be. So I know you guys pushed for 1,000 to attend. And I guess let's get this out in the air before we go to any farther. So last year was Pound the Ground, right? Mm-hmm. But you're producing, yes. You and your group are producing DigStock, and you've kind of split ways with the Pound the Ground folks.
Yeah, I just had some differences in opinion on certain things and stuff like that. And that's, personally, that's something neither here nor there to talk about that on live on air. But But I'll be honest with you. There were things last year that we did that weren't so good, and then there were some things that were great. And what I basically decided was, and this is not something I did on my own. I wrote a list down as the event was going on, basically taking notes. This was great. People enjoyed this. This, wow, this sucked. We really need to change this. And I took all those notes, and if people came up to me and said something, I wrote that down too, comments, suggestions, all that different stuff. And I separated ways with the Rhode Island Relics crew and the Pound the Ground guys. They're putting on another event. Guys are welcome to go to that. They're, a good group of guys, and they do seeded hunts and stuff like that, and natural hunts. But yeah, we just chose to go a different way. And so I got a group of really good detectorists that I've been friends with for quite some time, well known in the community. And, we really wanted to throw something different. So we really took, like the manufacturers did, took the suggestions of folks, everyday folks who are going to be participating in these events, and tried to make ours better.
So, yeah, and I mean, that's 100% inappropriate to talk about any of the differences, stuff like that. But for me, as someone who has, I'll even go out on a limb and say I'm a veteran at going to organized events. I mean, I think Pound the Ground was like my fourth last year alone. So, I understand also the newness of something like that. And what the learning, the growing pains, if you will. How are you guys going to overcome those this year? Specifically for me, the meet and greet. I mean, you guys had a facility that could maybe accommodate maybe 100 people.
Yeah, so that was actually.
You guys pre-sold tickets too, right?
Yeah. So what happened is, when we first came up with this event, and actually this is my fault. I'll take all the blame for this part, actually. So, I don't know. What happened was, when we first came up with this event, when the idea was first given to me, our initial thought was we were going to have 250 to 300 people tops. And then if you think about it, if we have 300 people, not everybody's going to show up to this event. Not everybody's going to show up to the meet and greet. There's a lot of people going to be traveling, and that type of thing. So we kind of gave it like we got a threshold. We'll probably, I went there, they said we can hold 250 people. I was like, well, if we only have 300 people, that's going to be great. We'll be fine. I said we should be able to hold everybody we need, and not because there was room upstairs and everything. And then when this thing started to blow up and we kept starting to increase the numbers, I was unable to find a location that was large enough. Up here in New York State during that time of year, there's a lot of weddings and stuff like that because of the fall foliage. And literally most of the places that could hold 500 plus people had all been booked. So that was my bad. And I'll take full responsibility for that. But we've definitely made changes to that. I will tell you that this year's facility can hold 2,500 plus people. So I think we'll have more than enough room for everyone. We're adding vendors, we're adding beer, food, all that stuff is going to be there as well. So we definitely made that change, knowing that last year was a disaster. I think somebody said they wanted to make a t-shirt that says, "I survived the meet and greet at Pound the Ground," because it was that bad.
It was rough. I was there. I watched a gentleman bury his car in the back, and I was like, we've got to get out of here. But, I mean, those things happen. I mean, they're things to understand, to learn from, and that's kind of what I wanted to have you on the show, so we can talk about this, so that people who did attend last year were like, those guys don't, to be able to pick it up and say, look, we're going to address some things. So are you guys still expecting to have a large vendor presence like you did last year?
So yeah, we have four right now, 4 companies on board, and we're trying to get. We've got XP, we've got Whites, we've got Garrett, and we have Nocta Macro right now. We'd like to have Fisher and Minelab. Minelab kind of has conflict with their scheduling. Their big conference, I think, is going on the same weekend. So we're trying to get some of those folks to show up to be at the event. So we're trying hard to get those guys on board. And Fisher, we're in the process of getting those guys on board. But everyone else is confirmed. We also have Kellyco as one of our big sponsors. We had a lot of folks last year that said they got there and they're like, man, I kind of wish I had, my pinpointer's been acting up. I was really hoping I could get a pinpointer or something here. So we kind of made that change. So we brought Kellyco on board. They're a big, well-known name all across the country. Everybody knows the name. And so those guys are going to come on, and they're actually going to be our exclusive, semi-exclusive vendor at the event for anything metal detected related. There's going to be special deals and stuff for folks that buy stuff there. But like if you want an extra coil or something, those guys are going to be on site, giving that stuff out there. We also brought in, we had a beer vendor last year. We had 2 food trucks. We're going to go 3 food trucks this year. Same beer vendor. Everybody seemed to enjoy them. We're bringing in a relic dealer, Civil War relics, stuff like that, because especially up where we are, we don't have the exposure to that type of stuff. So we really wanted to bring something different to the event. And I think people are really going to enjoy that. So we've got that, American Diggers on board. We've got the Historical Societies coming back, and they're going to put up a booth right next to American Digger. So we got a lot of new things coming up. I think we've made the effort to really push, this last year was kind of whoever gave the most stuff had the biggest presence there, but we didn't want to do that. I had a difference in opinion on the idea on how we wanted to do this. So everybody's going to be represented equally. Each manufacturer is going to have the same amount of space, stuff like that. Everybody's going to give the same amount of stuff. So that's how we decided to do it this year.
So a couple folks are asking, do you think Gary Blackwell will come back?
Gary Blackwell is coming back.
So there you go. There's that, Scott and B. Harp.
Yes.
Andy O'Neill says contact him. He's got a vendor idea. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be bigger and better. So what was like the official, because there's all this speculation, right, of how many people actually went to Pound the Ground last year. If you were to give an official Pound the Ground number to separate, when you separate it out from DigStock, what would you expect the official number was last year to this, what you're expecting for this year?
So we've talked with a bunch of people. Realistically, I'd say last year we had somewhere between 750 to 850 people. If I were to take a wild guess as to the actual number, the problem is even though I was part of the team, I didn't have access to the ticket sales. So I don't know exactly how many tickets were sold, how many were given away. Even though I was an integral part of the team, I was kind of like, I didn't deal with that stuff. So this year I can tell you for certain, we're going to know how many people came. We can announce that the day of the hunt. We're still 8 months out. We've already sold 125 tickets, which is pretty impressive. I mean, the event is 8 months out. We've got a long time to go before the event even comes up. But this year we're hoping to have at least the same. But I think with the amount of land that we've got, I mean, we could definitely have held more. But we've limited the tickets to 1,000. Do we think we're going to sell that many? Probably not. If we do sell that many, great. But we made sure that if we do sell that many, we definitely have the room and the infrastructure this time to hold that many people properly. Like I said, we had a couple of issues last year, and a lot of it had to do with the amount of people that we had, and we're making those changes. So I think realistically, we're hoping for at least 750 plus. So that's what our goal is.
Right on. And last year you had about 1,000 acres. Is that right?
Well, it went from about 1,000 acres, and then the day of the hunt, we had to chop it down. It was probably closer to 600 by the time we got done because some of the crops weren't off the fields. So this year I've been working with the farmer to ensure that we have at least 1,000 acres. Some of that is going to be stuff from last year, but we're going to have 600 plus new acres that we didn't have access to last year. And there could potentially be closer to 2,000 if we get the fields right. If everything comes together, the weather's good, the crops get off the field, we could potentially have well over 1,000 acres. So.
All right, and I gotta ask a tough question now. So last year there were a group of guys who got into a bottle pit, and which is really cool, awesome local history. And the farmer came by and lost his mind and kicked them out of that bottle pit.
I'll be honest with you, it wasn't the farmer.
Well, who was it?
It wasn't. Well, the farmer said something to us, and then some other members of the Pound the Ground team. I wasn't part of that team that went out there, but they went out there and lost their mind and told them to get off and whatever. And so I went and spoke to the farmer after last year's event, and I told them that, and the farmer's like, well, what were they doing out there? He didn't really understand what they were doing. So this year I went and spoke to the farmer, told him, it's not gonna hurt anything what they're doing. Basically what they do is they dig up the bottles, they find what they're looking for, and they fill in the pit, and then they go to the next, they move to the next. It's like these old homes had these bottle pits, they had privies, they used to toss all this stuff down there. And he's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So like once I really explained what they were doing and what they were after, he said it's fine. So actually we've got the go ahead from the farmer this year, which I think we're going to be one of the first large events to ever do this. You're going to be able to, in any cornfield that there was an old home site, you guys are going to be able to bottle dig. So long as you fill in your holes, make it look nice when you're done. Any cornfield that we've got on the property that's part of it, you guys can dig out there to your heart's content. As long as by the end of the weekend, you're going to be able to do exactly that.
Maybe not the first to allow that, but probably the first in the New England area.
Yeah, we're probably not. I know you guys you do some Civil War hunts. You guys get in the pits and stuff, but yeah, up here it's not common for people to go to a dig and be able to do this. And then they also told us last year we got a couple of like freebies from Brew Magnetics, and I know a lot of people are into magnet fishing too. There's a couple of guys around locally that do it. We've got Cannonball. We've got some crazy stuff. So they actually gave us the go-ahead to do that too, because I mean, if you remember, if you were there last year, there's a river that runs right through the middle of the property. And then one of the fields actually abuts right up to Lake Champlain, which is a very historic lake. There was Rev War, stuff that went on that lake, War of 1812. So, I mean, it's a really historic place. So to have all of these, these three different hobbies combined in one spot is going to be pretty awesome. And I think there's going to be some really amazing stuff discovered.
Just for fun and a show of hands, I saw a couple people said that they've already bought tickets. I'd like to know in the chat who has already purchased their tickets for DigStock. So yeah, I guess Charlie from Heritage Relic Hunter said it would be great to get the corn down to the ground, but I guess any way that the corn is not on the field is going to be better than last year.
Yeah. So the biggest reason we actually pushed the event back a week was I spoke to the farmer, and like, as much as I want to help out the detectorist too, I want to help him out. So I said, what can we do to help you out, to make sure that if we say we have 1,000 acres, we're going to have 1,000 acres. And he said, all I really needed was more time. He's like, as the event went on, you could see a couple of fields got cut as the event went on. But he said, if he gave us that one more week, he would have most of that cut, some of it even plowed if time allows. So some of those fields that we got on that were just cut, I mean, chances are this year, if we have a nice spring, which, knock on wood, we're all hoping that we have a nice dry spring or fairly dry spring, they'll get the crops in on time, and they'll actually have that stuff cut mid-September versus the first week of October. We just had a really bad year last year, so let's hope that the snow wanes down a little bit and we have a nice spring, because if we do, the amount of land that we're going to have is it's going to definitely be much more than we had last year. So it's going to be good. We're hoping for the best.
New at level auto said, who's the Canadian fella talking to Matt? That is Pete from DigStock. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. So there are, I see 4 or 5 folks just in the chat alone who have already purchased their tickets. Really, really exciting stuff. Sounds like there's going to be some convoys of folks. And for folks who don't know, tell people about the area and what was found last year. Now this will be some of the land has already been hunted, but last year they opened up a field and like 5 or 8 coppers came out of that field like instantaneous.
So what we did, so the area is near Plattsburgh, New York. When you guys come up here, you're most likely going to be staying in the city of Plattsburgh, which was there was a pivotal battle during the War of 1812 there in 1814 between the British and the Americans. So between that, there in 1776, there was a Revolutionary War battle on the Lake Champlain just across from Plattsburgh in Plattsburgh Bay. So I mean, we've had a lot of occupation throughout the early formative years of our country. So I mean, where our fields are located, there's actually a historic sign down at one end of one of the fields that we have that even has Native American and the English activity or French activity as far back as the 1660s. So, I mean, people were traveling up and down this lake for, 300-400 years. So there's a lot of great stuff here. Last year, I mean, I can tell you from experience some of the things that I saw. We saw lots of War of 1812 stuff, buttons. We saw belt plate or shoulder plate. We saw a British plate that came out from one of the cornfields of a rare regiment that's not normally seen up here. We had regimental buttons, we had artillery buttons, and something that really surprised me because I have detected that farm for probably 2 years, but it's thousands of acres. There's only certain places a lot of people go. I'm a wanderer, so I just make my way all over the place. But anyways, they ended up finding a little pocket of Rev War stuff. And I think 4 or 5 Rev War buttons were found last year, which is really exciting. And since that time, I think there was an 8 real found, quite a few 2 reals, 1 reals, half reals, largies. There were so many incredible things found out there. But I mean, I think we have to make sure that people have a realistic expectation. I mean, if you're a true detectorist, we can go out to a site, we've researched the heck out of it, you get out there, and sometimes you just strike out, man. And I've gone out there days on fields adjacent to these ones and dug, 70 pounds of iron in one flat button, and then there's been days on other fields where I've dug 20 flat buttons, and a musket ball or something. But you just never know. It's the luck of the draw and where you end up. And I can tell you right now, what happened was after last year's event, on one of the fields that we're going to have this year that we didn't have last year, a friend of mine and I were talking about the event, and we're walking across the field. We didn't even have our detectors with us. But I'm one of those people that just I'm always scanning the ground as we walk and talk. And we actually happened upon a pocket of stuff, and I looked down and I said, I think that's a musket ball, and I picked it up. Sure enough, it was. And within 20 minutes, just walking a circle, we just spiraled around from where we were. We picked up 5 or 6 War of 1812 buttons and musket balls right on the surface. So, and I mean, this is not on any maps. It's not on anything that says they camped here. It's just for 2 years. I mean, they just moved up and down this corridor. So there is stuff there to be found. It's just a matter of getting on the right spot. So we put everything back. We didn't touch it. I didn't go out and detect it. My buddy will not go out and detect it. It's still there. So somebody this year is going to happen upon that little spot, and I bet you some really crazy stuff's going to pop out.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that somebody Adventures in Dirt, who's in the chat, he found a beautiful War 1812 U.S. Button. Somebody in the chat says it's not guaranteed, and I think that's what people have to remember for a lot of these kind of hunts, whether it was Florida 6 or you went to the most recent NDL or Diggin in Virginia, or even some of the stuff that's happening farther up north, pound the ground, or DigStock. You're going to have to work for it. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be people there. It's not a competition. Make friends, have fun. And if you find anything, it's a bonus.
Yeah. See, what we wanted to do is make it an experience. And I mean, we've seen all these hunts. I've been to a lot of these hunts, same as you. I saw the stuff come out of the NDL, some incredible finds. And then you don't see all the stuff that they don't, all the garbage and stuff they dig too. I mean, it's we all do it. It's just part of the hobby. The hardcore people. The thing is, the hardcore people will get through that stuff, and you might spend 2 days out there and get maybe one incredible button, but I'll tell you what, that one button, it was worth all that time you spent out there trying to get that. And the stuff they pulled out of that NDL hunt was amazing, but there's stuff like that here too. You can't guarantee anything, just like like you said, but it's if you're willing to put in the time, it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, that one hunt, I think there was something like 60 Confederate buttons found, but the most incredible, probably the best relic I've ever seen in my life, a Rev War crossbelt plate with Liberty inscribed.
I saw that. That's killer. I've never seen anything like that.
Probably a 6-figure plate.
Oh, easy. And I mean, that's the stuff that's the thing is like, if somebody stumbles upon what we stumbled upon just wandering through a field, I don't know what's there. There's potential for something of that magnitude to be, on this site. Especially we have one field that if we can get access to it this year is 700 acres alone. And it butts right next to the lake. A main thoroughfare went through there, for 200 years. It was a main road. So, I mean, it's just, you just never know what you're going to come upon. And I just know that there's still so many great things out there to find. We had people last year that said, well, that place has been detected for 30 years. And it may have been. But I can tell you that, if you saw the quality, it's quality over quantity in some senses, because, a lot of quality stuff came out. Was it a lot? Maybe, 100 people came out with some really amazing things. And then another 100 people came out with, the normal flat buttons and whatever. But there is incredible stuff out there left to be found. You just never know what you're going to chance upon. And like I said, I've been detecting this area I've been here now for 6 years since I moved back. And every time I go out, I find you just find a new spot or whatever out in the middle of these fields, and you don't know what it looked like 200 years ago. So it's pretty amazing, just the stuff that pops up.
That's right. So a couple other folks were talking about more of logistics kind of stuff. So some of the farther away places, who told me, somebody in here said that they kept pushing. So they said they walked 1,000 miles. Would you expect that there would be some better access of parking for some of those farther away spots?
So one of the things we've made as a change this year is we're going to have a shuttle that's actually people can park in the lot, and it's going to go around every hour on the hour, and it's going to go all the way out. It's not, so we might have some really far fields out. We're going to have to work parking out for those fields. But anything that was in that main area, kind of where we were last year, our event site's not going to be in the same field, because that field that we were in is now corn, and it wasn't. So actually, some people found some interesting finds in that field that, they're going to have more access to now. Anyways, we're going to have a shuttle that goes from the main event site all the way around the main properties, and back to the event site. So if people want to jump on that shuttle or whatever, just grab their stuff. It doesn't cost anything. Just jump on and go. And then that comes out every hour on the hour. We're going to bring that around. And we're going to try and make it so some of the parking, the problem is last year, because the farmer was still out there taking some of the crops off, we also didn't want to get in his way. So there's a road that kind of goes through one of the sets of properties, through like a 700-acre field and a couple hundred acres. If we can get that dirt road, which is not a main thoroughfare, people don't use it a lot, it's mostly a farm road. If we can get that this year for people to park on like one side, we'll probably do that as well. But we're still working on that stuff, logistically speaking. But the shuttle is definitely, I think, going to be a big difference for people. Because again, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything. You just get on it and take a quick ride. Instead of walking for 3 hours to get out to the far fields, it'll take you 20 minutes. And you're not detecting all the way out there, but once you get on them, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, Right on, man. I mean, that's sounds like a good change, and it sounds like positive things are going to be happening. Um, it's I like this kind of conversation, and I talk with Andy O'Neill a lot about I certainly enjoyed your event last year, and I look forward to this year. I had a great time. I think sometimes we have to look back at ourselves and be critical, or be open and honest. And I really appreciate that you've taken this like an absolute. Taken the initiative to make positive changes to have another successful event, which will turn out to be much better than last year, I'm sure.
Yeah. See, and like, I think some people will not, there's some people who can't take criticism very well. And what I did was, if anybody asked me, well, there were a lot of things last year that didn't work out, I'll be the first to tell you, as a person that was part of the team that put it together, a lot of the failings that were last year's event, I had a part in that. And I'll be the first to tell you that. I'm not going to lie and say everything was hunky-dory and, everything was great, because it wasn't, and we wanted to make those changes for the better. And we really took into consideration what people said. And again, the whole time this event was going on, even as I was talking to people, chatting with folks, we just wanted to make sure that what we put out the next time is a much better product than we put out the first time. And again, like you said, growing pains, you get used to, like you're used to 20 people or 50 people or 100 people, then you add times that by 10, and, then you're like, holy crap, this is something crazy. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, let's be honest, like, you win as a team, you lose as a team, right? Yeah. And not one person should take ownership of all of it, because that's how it is. That's the way the world works. I'm not a football person, but whoever lost the Super Bowl, one person didn't lose that. The whole team lost that.
Right. Yeah.
That's terrible. I didn't even know about that. So let's talk a little bit moving in towards, when we talked prior to this, you think this probably would be a semi-annual kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So we talked with the team of guys. We were actually, the DigStock is not going to be a one-time event. We want this thing to be, so we're thinking a big event every 2 years. And then kind of in the middle, we've got a couple other ideas. So DigStock, you'll see the DigStock name not only attached to this big event, but we'll probably have smaller hunts, kind of towards the size of like NDL or something, 200-300 people, but on some really quality sites. And that's something that we really want to make people aware. We don't want to bring bring you guys out somewhere that's been hit for, the place that we've got is 1,000 acres, or the guy owns 4,000 acres, so it's hard to hit all of that. I'll never hit it. Even when you guys come out, nobody will ever hit the whole amount of it. And so but we're really trying to grow this brand in a different way. So not only are we going to do metal detecting hunts, but just keep an eye out in the pipeline. We've got things like maybe fossil hunting, going out looking for Native American artifacts, stuff like that, little trips, things that we can attach the name to. So DigStock's not just going to be this, but so this event right here, we think is going to be every 2 years. So every 2 years. And then in the middle, we're going to have a couple of smaller things that we do. So it's a lot of work. I know, it's a full-time job. You got a full-time job, and then you do this on the side. It's weird when your hobby becomes almost like a second job. But I'll tell you what, I love the people. That's the biggest thing I've loved about the hobby, is meeting the new folks. And I'm sure you can agree to this. When you get out digging and stuff, it's much better when you got somebody else with you, a good friend or something. And some of my best finds, if you don't have a friend with you, man, it's just like, yay! But then, you don't get to share it with somebody. So we're going to really try and take this DigStock name and put it out to a lot of different events. So just keep your eyes out, because we got some really big, exciting ideas that are going to be coming into play here soon.
So, and for folks who don't know, what's the event pricing this year, and how can they get a hold of you, or how can they be a part of this event? Where can they get tickets? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, sure. So right now we have an early bird ticket sale going on until March 1st for $120 plus fees. Everybody asks me what the fees are. Eventbrite charges fees for every ticket. I think on the $120 ticket, it's $9. So $129. You get the whole event. So you get Friday meet and greet. You get the Saturday hunt, the natural hunt. Sunday, we're going to have a huge seated hunt along with natural. If you don't want to do the seated hunt, you get the whole day to hunt the natural fields again. So that's until March 1st, and then after March 1st, the ticket goes to $145. But I'm sure you can also say that. I mean, I've been to a lot of hunts, and there's not a lot of hunts out there that you can't get to for less than $250 for an entire weekend worth of stuff. And I mean, a good natural hunt, I mean, it's well worth it. So I think $145, we wanted to make it affordable for folks who wanted to come out with a family or something, maybe have them enjoy the area, and then they go out doing the digging type of stuff. But we've added some things that'll, entice folks to come out. We added a children's area this year, which we think White's wants to sponsor, and now Nocta came in, so they wanted to help sponsor that too. So we're trying to bring if somebody wants to bring a family up, we're going to have stuff for those guys to do too. So $120 till March 1st, $145 after that. We're giving veterans, if you're a veteran, we appreciate your service, and we are actually offering you guys a $75 ticket for the entire event, all 3 days. You don't have to worry about anything extra. All you have to do is contact me, Peter at AdirondackDetecting.com, and just send over your DD-214 or your license that has the veteran designation on it or something, just so I can verify you're a veteran. We don't want anybody getting in that's not supposed to. We had some folks last year that tried to do that. I was not too happy about that. So we appreciate your service, and we want you guys to enjoy a good time at a good price. And so right now that's what we're up to. And you guys are going to get an exclusive here. I'm going to tell you this. So this is something we just came up with. I just got confirmation from our last manufacturer right now. We're actually going to be throwing a very limited special hunt with representatives from each of the manufacturers. And they're going to have contests from now until the event to give away tickets. They're only going to have 2 to 3 tickets per manufacturer to give away. And you're basically going to be able to hunt with all these your favorite YouTube celebrities, from Garrett, White's, XP, Nocta Macro. And it's going to be limited to just the reps from the companies and whoever wins these tickets. And that's a free thing. It doesn't cost anybody anything extra. I'm going to get a pretty decent site for everybody to get on that we've never detected before, and we're going to have a go at it. So this is an exclusive, only here on your show. You're the first ones to hear it.
I like exclusive. That sounds fun.
Yeah, and you're the first ones to hear.
That's cool, man. I mean, I think everybody loves KG and Ringy, or some of the Sean from White's. I mean, great dude. If you've never met him. It's something like Dwight from Nocta Macro. I got to meet him.
Yeah, we've got a lot of guys.
4 or 6, hilarious dude, cracks me up. So I mean, there's gonna be that's gonna be great, man. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the Chig will come and hang out.
Yeah, we actually we'll just say this: we put our feelers out there. Chig knows that he's a good friend with one of our organizers, and so he said if he's not filming in England this year for a show, there's a good chance he'll be there. So I can't put any words in his mouth or anything, but we'll see. We don't know the exact people that are going to be at the event just now. I mean, we're 8 months out. But I can tell you right now that everybody's on board with this. We're definitely going to have a lot of your favorite YouTube celebrities and stuff come out. And I encourage folks, there's a lot of you guys that are veteran hunters that have been to these events, but we're actually going to make it really fun for the new guys, people who are, this may be their first big event. And that was one of the other reasons we made it affordable, so somebody can experience something like this, at a decent price, and have a good time and meet these folks that they may never ever have the chance to again. So we think this exclusive hunt with these guys will kind of give it's, give a little bit more excitement to it. It's free, doesn't cost anything, and you get a chance to win to hunt with all these, KG and Ringy are legends in the, in the metal detecting field. A lot of people got their start by watching their stuff. And so hopefully, that'll be great for the folks that get a chance to do that. And I think it's going to be good. We've made a lot of changes. So
yeah, I'm excited for it, man. It's funny. There's some chat of somebody I was digging with last week. And most of these big guys, you know what they like to do? They like to dig holes in the ground.
That's
Doesn't really
right.
matter. They like to have fun, and very very cool folks. And it'll be it's going to be a great event, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And for last time, when is all of this going down, and where and all that stuff?
Yeah, so it's going to be October 10th and 11th. Give me 1 second, just to make sure. I don't want to tell everybody the date and then be wrong on it. So it's October 10th and 11th, 2020. Friday, I can just kind of give you a quick breakdown of our schedule, how it's going to go down. Friday, we're going to have our meet and greet starting at 5 p.m. People can start rolling in. They can pre-register for the hunt then. We have Steve Zazulik is going to be there, the ring finder. He's going to do a demonstration for folks, do a little talk, and then we're going to do a big pre-hunt meeting towards the end of the night. We're giving away metal detectors, prizes, all kinds of things at pre-hunt at the meet and greet that night. And I encourage folks to really attend it if they can make it. The nice thing is we put it on Columbus Day weekend. So some states have that Monday after the event off. So, we gave, hopefully some folks will have an extra travel day if you're lucky enough to be in a state where they still do that, give the day off. But we got a lot of great things going on. We made some good changes. I think folks are going to really be surprised and excited about the things we got.
Well, I'm absolutely excited for it. I'm absolutely excited that you were willing to come on here and talk with me on my silly little live stream. But I know that there's 50 people who enjoyed every single minute of it. And it wasn't for me, it was for you and the event and the hard work that you put into this kind of stuff, and really doing something that hasn't been done here in the U.S. And I think there's a lot to be said for that as well. So, man, I look forward to October. Jim asked, when do you start serving beer?
Well, New York State, Friday night, I'm sure it'll be flowing as often as possible until the night ends. In fact, I'll probably indulge in one or two myself. So Friday night, we're going to have our beer vendor on site, so you guys can get some good beer there at the event on Friday night. And then they're going to be there Saturday and Sunday. I don't think they can serve until noon, but I'm sure you guys can get through the morning. And
I don't know if it was anything like last year with Kevin and Adventures in Dirt, Ken. I didn't think I was going to make it out of the next morning. So, but very very awesome stuff going on. So personally, man, I'd like to thank you. Any other ways people would get in touch with you outside? Do you have a YouTube channel, Facebook, any of that stuff?
Yeah, so you can check out our Facebook group, and the event is through Adirondack Detecting, which you can just find on Facebook. Just type in Adirondack Detecting. Our group will pop up. It's actually just a page. You can just post to it. I throw a bunch of contests up on there. I've got the event page you can click on right from there. You can buy your tickets right from Facebook. And then we have an Eventbrite page, which I list up quite often with the ticket stuff on that site. We also have a website, www.adirondackdetecting.com. If you click on the DigStock link, it'll literally give you any information you need. We tried to make it a lot easier for folks this year to find information about hotels, restaurants, things to do while you're here. We didn't have any of that stuff last year, and I really wanted folks to have a good time, so we made it a little bit easier. There's even a list of the hotels that have discounts. We got a bunch of discounts out there too. And then right now we're actually working with restaurants to get some decent discounts too. I personally don't have a YouTube page. I've started one, and I'm sure you'll see some stuff coming up on there, some of my digs. But I do stuff for XP Team USA. So if you check them guys out, subscribe, you'll see some of the videos that we do for them. Especially if you're a big XP fan, that's a place to go. You'll learn a lot of stuff and see some great finds made.
So, well, awesome, Pete. Thanks for coming on and hanging out. I'll ask you not to go anywhere. We're going to sign this thing out, and we're going to get out of here.
Sounds great, guys. Hey, it was great being here.
Yeah, it's great meeting you. Thanks again. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. So, all right. Hold on. All right, so there we go. Pete from DigStock. It's going to be a great event. You guys heard it first here. A lot of cool things coming up with the chance to dig with some celebrities in the metal detecting world. New improved event, shuttles, much more inclusive in information, bigger, better meet and greet. All good things. All things that I'd like to see happen for the last year's event. But guess what? We're going to have it this year at DigStock. If you guys are going, and hey, maybe I'll see you there. I don't know. October's a long way away, and we've got a lot of stuff to do between here and there. But we're going to make it our best effort to get to DigStock this year. Personally, I'd like to thank each and every one of you that come to here on a Tuesday night for Treasure Tuesday and the live from the Relic Room. You guys make my week every week on a Tuesday night. So thank you for everybody I got to meet. Kay's digging it. Thank you for me hanging out with me at Florida 6 and all that fun stuff. And we're going to have some really awesome videos in the next few weeks. I got 5 videos in 6 days, and content's coming. So stick around for me and stick with me through all that stuff. And you know how we sign it out. This week, I hope you're able to go out and find some history. And if you're not able to go out and find history this week, whether it's metal detecting, treasure hunting, fossil hunting, or whatever it is that you do, I hope that you're able to make history and change the world. My name is Matt. This is Gone Diggin' live from the Relic Room, and we will see you next time.